Hey, it's me, your boy Blue Getsuga, and on today's episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Terra Analysis, I'll be talking about Nekroz. Nekroz they're basically a duelist alliance deck, and they were once tier 0, and I feel like they're still pretty damn strong even in today's meta. Anyways, let's get started. They have great boss monsters, especially Trishula. Trishula is not the strongest as far as attack points go, but it's the strongest as far as effects go. This card is practically your win condition, and with Street back at 3, it's pretty nuts. Nekroz are ridiculously consistent. You can easily get to your Trish, you can easily get to your Bryo, or you can easily get to your Streets. You can get to almost all your Nekroz monsters and Nekroz rituals, and you can easily span the board with Nekroz ritual monsters. Okay, next we have it can fight really well against extra deck monsters. Basically, Necrons like to hate on extra decks sometimes. They don't necessarily need your opponent to be playing an extra deck based deck to function, but if your opponent's playing an extra deck based deck, then they're probably in for a surprise, basically, because especially since you have Unicore back to 3. So that's really good. This deck can plus easily, and this deck is very versatile because, like I mentioned, the many boss monsters in this deck can do a lot of things, and they can trip up your opponent fairly easily. Especially Trish. Trish is my favorite of all of them. Next, we have called for the cons. Cards like Called by the Grave and Ash exist. Especially Called by the Grave, that card is really painful to go against, or to deal with Nekroz. Also, a fun fact. Back during Duelist Alliance, the reason why decks like Nekroz, Burning Abyss, Shaddoll's, and Cleafords went very unopposed is because we didn't really have many counters to decks like that. Especially when Cosmo were running around, we didn't have many forms of monster removal that didn't destroy or didn't target. So because of this, I doubt Nekroz would actually be, top tier like it used to be, but this deck is still pretty strong. And I'd say it can't play through 2 to 3 negates. In fact, I should probably change it to 2 to 4 because short story, I faced off against a Salamangreat player and I played through a Roar, I think I played through an Ash too. And then I somehow managed to trish him and get Unicore out on the field, which I didn't think I would be able to do, in all honesty. Because I mean, I thought the Salad player pretty much but I apparently I played through his negates and I still plussed and I still won somehow. Which is why I say Trishula is tier 2, in my opinion. I said Trishula. I mean, the deck is practically Trishula Turbo, but Nekroz, they are tier 2, in my opinion. Potentially even tier 1.5. Because they're very consistent and they can get around a lot of decks, and they can even compete with some of the stronger decks in the game. And I think I beat Eldritch with Nekroz one time, but I also got my ass beat by Eldritch while playing Nekroz before as well. So take that as you will. Anyways, Nekroz are a very decent deck, and they shouldn't be underestimated. Next, I'm going to be talking about Dinomists. Dinomists are a very underrated archetype. I think that they're a very fun deck that you can take to your locals. Pros. This deck can set up their scales fairly consistently and fairly easily, especially due to their trap card. This deck has decent recovery due to their the Rhoda, which allows you to get some of your face-up Dinomist monsters from the extra deck, especially if one leaves the field. But I say it's decent, not great. Also, this deck has decent protection, because the 6 scales protect you against cards that target your Dinomist cards, and the 3 scales protect you from cards and effects that destroy your Dynamist spells and your Dynamist cards. So that's why I say decent, because non-targeting removal can still get you. Plus, if you don't have the scale, the appropriate scale, you won't be able to protect certain things from certain things. Anyways, this deck also has great stat manipulation and great spells and traps. Like I mentioned, they have a trap that allows you to just set your pendulum scales, and they have a trap that allows you to special summon one Dinomist monster from your deck, but it's unaffected by card effects, which is also pretty nice. And they have a Rhoda that basically allows you to recover Dinomist monsters. I mean, granted, that card is not great enough to circumvent this issue. Anyways, and it can't play through 2 to 3 negates, because this deck, it isn't meta. It's not in a slower format or in a game with less negates and less interruption. This deck can actually do fairly well. So I'd give it a tier of 3. You can take it to your locals, and it's a fun deck you can play with your friends. Anyways, that's all I have to say about Dinomists. Anyways, me, your boy Blue Getsuga, and I'm out.